Hi, and welcome everybody to the Winner's Circle Sports Betting Channel. My name is Ross Benjamin. I'm your host. It's Tuesday, December 26th. Hope everybody had a Merry Christmas out there and Santa Claus was good to you. Speaking of Santa Claus, in the top right-hand corner of the page, we have our own version of Santa Claus, Mr. Jesse Schule, and also I'm joined today by Mr. Sean Higgs. Jesse, did you have a good Christmas?
You know what? I had a really good Christmas with the family, but Santa gave me lumps of coal in my stocking with the 49ers and Brock Purdy throwing 4 picks last night. That wasn't so great, but that takes a back seat to having a good Christmas with the family. And it's been a decent month, a decent week. I got no complaints. The time with the family makes me feel like I'm the richest man in the world.
Absolutely. Time with family is it takes precedence over everything else of importance in the world and even our livelihood. So in any event, Sean, I know that you're all about family. Did you have a Merry Christmas, you and the family?
Yeah, nice day yesterday with the family when mom came by early. My brother's flying in today. I got to pick him up at the airport later on. He's coming with his 2 girls, so it'd be nice. Oh, and I got to agree with Jesse. I had family first. Obviously, it's the most important thing. Especially as they get old fast. But I had the Niners yesterday too, so I'm not happy. I was annoyed, and I was on that. That was a big play for me. It's usually I keep them kind of steady. That was one I was locked in on. I'm like, yes, it was just a good spot, especially with Jaguars winning the week before. They're pretty much locked into a spot. I'm like, all right, San Fran at home. Let's get it done here. Pretty, not pretty.
Yeah.
And the worst part of that is that I already had Baltimore -3 for next week, thinking they're coming in off of just the opposite of what happened. Them losing 34-12 or 37-20, just off a beatdown. And now I'm going to get run out of the building because I can see them laying an egg now against Miami. Now.
Yeah. Miami, Dallas also cost me on Sunday a 3-1 day, but I got +1.5. If you got down early enough, I guess you were good on that game. But that
was like a 1 pick'em, 1.5. I mean, you had to get down just at a certain time for that one because I had.
I know Rob Vincelletti got a +2 at our site, so
right.
I mean, at some point they were +2.
Yeah.
But in any event, most of us, like you said, Sean, fell in the category of you fell short if you took Dallas in that game. And also, like you two gentlemen, I had San Francisco yesterday, much to my chagrin. And, I had family over on the weekend or over the holidays, Christmas Eve. We had everybody at my house. And, of course, my brother had a couple martinis in him, and he lives in Baltimore, and he's a huge Ravens fan. So didn't have to. I never heard the end of it this morning with a long, elongated text about how good the Ravens are. And I also told him that I will bet half the yacht that he owns, him and his other half got a 50-foot yacht. It's just amazing. And
yacht.
Nice. Yeah, he does well in life. So, but in any event, there's always that dialogue going back and forth between me and him with the Bills and the Ravens. So, as you can imagine, Sean and Jesse took a little bit of heat after Baltimore. But here's the thing. I feel stupid because I had told him on Christmas Eve, you know what? Lamar is 19-1 as a starter against the NFC. Now he's 20-1.
He wins. He's in there. That team wins.
Yeah.
I mean, they win game. What are they, like 50-12 when he starts or something ridiculous? I mean,
yeah. But even more so against the NFC. He's been tremendous against the NFC for whatever reason. And even Harbaugh throughout the course of his time in Baltimore has had a very high win percentage against NFC teams even before Lamar. So
if there's anything to know about that guy, he doesn't give his game. It's not like most teams are like, well, if we lose here, it's okay because it's a non-conference game. It's all right. The guy wins in the preseason.
Yeah.
He wins. They don't take games off. Every day we're going to work. We play 17 games a year, whatever it is now. 18 weeks. No. We don't take days off. We're coming in.
You don't see internal problems with the Ravens either. They're a very well-structured and very well-run organization. Going back to when Ozzie Newsome was the GM there, And it seems like they replace people within the organization, whether it be front office personnel or coaching staff or players that all fit the culture in which they built over the last 16 or so years under Harbaugh.
Was it last week we're talking about it and how they don't, not a lot of offensive guys there, right? It's Lauren and we got a tight end, but in a wide receiver league, they do. It is, like you said, man, good franchise, top to bottom. They win. Yeah. They get there. All right, they might lose in the playoffs. I mean, what? Hey, every team loses. Well, one team wins a year, folks. So you can't, I can't get. I'd love to be.
Well, that's the one thing with Lamar. I think he's going to have to climb that hurdle. We remember the last time they were the number one seed. What was it? 2019. They bowed out in the first round. It's a team that hasn't really made that deep run in the postseason with Lamar as their quarterback. Well, now they've made deep runs with Harbaugh. I mean, they've won some, I think they won 2 world championships with Harbaugh, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys.
Is it 2 with him? They've won. I know Fossil won the first one, didn't he?
Oh, no, it was.
Who's the first guy?
The start.
Belichick. Bill Belichick.
No, it wasn't Belichick.
Not Belichick.
Billick.
Brian Billick. I know it was a Bill. It was a Bill.
Yeah. I stand corrected. So. Yeah, but he got to 2 Super Bowls, didn't he? Harbaugh, if I'm not mistaken, won one loss. Yeah. Jesse?
I was just saying, I was going to say that they played the Niners, as Sean said.
I just want to let you know Jesse's just finishing his last eggnog because it's 10:30 at night there. So anyway, we're going to look at 3 college football bowl games, some pretty good ones. Pretty good on paper, let's put it that way. Like Jesse was saying off air, I don't know how anybody has any confidence in their bowl picks these days. And it's just a monumental headache. Last year I went 13-4 in a bowl game, Sean, and I've lost 5 games already in the bowl season. I'm 3-5, and it's just not happy. But it becomes increasingly more difficult. Guys, and any thoughts on that before we announce our matchups here?
The only game I won was that UTSA game when Frank Harris announced he wasn't going to play right before the game. That's my only win this bowl season.
Yeah, go figure. Right?
And you're a touchdown in the wrong direction on a line.
Exactly. That's funny. It's true.
I'm 5-7 in bowls, and I've had I had a UCF. Total, which I thought was pretty good. At 63, it goes up. There's nothing there.
Yeah,
just weird. I
did have Georgia Tech in that game, and I did have UTSA.
I had UTSA,
but
I had South Florida was a nice route. That was
a game
South we talked Florida about. Although I think I came on here and talked about the over in that game. I said, "Here, South Florida's going to score 40-something points." I couldn't get a garbage touchdown out of Syracuse.
Yeah,
how about Coastal Carolina winning outright? They got the most players in the portal of any team in the whole country. Backup third string quarterback.
Yeah, I'd say San Jose.
They win outright over a San Jose
As a
State
10-point
team
dog
with a senior quarterback that was one of the better quarterbacks in the Mountain West.
And San Jose finished strong, right, Jesse?
Yeah. I mean that game had blowout written all over it the other way. I wouldn't have been so shocked to see San Jose State not cover or maybe, but I mean, they got blown out.
Lose?
Essentially.
They were shut out at the half. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Playing in Hawaii. The quarterback's from Hawaii. You think it'd be like, all right, let's get a bowl win for our coaches. I don't think he's ever won a bowl game.
Yeah. Grayson McCall, the star quarterback for Coastal Carolina for the 2nd year in a row. He decided to go in a transfer portal, but this year he decided to go forward with it. If you remember last year, he entered the transfer portal and then changed his mind and decided to come back. So, I mean, it's just unpredictable is the most consistent thing that's happened in the bowl season. But Jesse's going to be looking at Ole Miss and Penn State in the Peach Bowl. All 3 of our games will go on Saturday, December the 30th. Sean will be looking at the 2 teams that got snubbed in the college football playoffs, Georgia versus Florida State in the Orange Bowl. And I'll be looking at the Auburn and Maryland Music City Bowl in Nashville, Tennessee. So let's start with Sean. this Georgia and Florida State matchup lost a lot of its luster. You would have thought with these two teams, obviously the two best teams in terms of, I don't even know. Georgia, to me, was worthy of a college football 14 play, being a 14 playoff. But unfortunately, they got it right. But, you got to feel bad for a program that's won 30 straight games. They lose one game in the SEC championship game, and they're left out. Florida State, on the other hand, we've discussed at length, and I don't want to beat a dead horse any further, Sean. We know that, they went undefeated. You can make a case why they should be there, but by the same token, if you're taking the four best teams, without their starting quarterback, Jordan Travis, they weren't one of them. But in any event, your take on this matchup, because Georgia right now is laying 16.5 in this game.
Well, that pretty much tells you what people think of Florida State. And now, so they're here because their starting quarterback's out. And now their starting quarterback, who was supposed to play, has entered the transfer. He's not going to play. I don't even know the guy's name. So, no number one quarterback. Rodemaker, who people didn't like. Now he's out. Your starting running back, who led the team in yards and TDs, is not playing. Your top wide receiver is out. Your second wide receiver and tight end, who had another 5 or 6 touchdowns, are out. Your leading tackler, the defensive guy, is out. Well, I just have to take Georgia. I mean, Florida State might be saying all the things. We got a chip on our shoulder. I don't know. Nobody's really sitting out for Georgia here. And if they do, there's still a monster talent gap.
Yeah.
They win this game by, what's this game going to be? 30-6, right? I mean, some kind of blowout. They're going to finish the year in the top 3 anyway, Georgia. They'll be behind whoever wins the championship game. And if they really want to lay it on it, they'll be the number 1-2 team to whoever wins the championship game. So I think they want to make a little statement for themselves. And Florida State is just depleted. And we're just talking about some quarterbacks coming in, and the Syracuse one not showing up, the Coastal Carolina one come put on a show. So you really don't know what's going to happen. But I think I know how Georgia plays, and they're not going to take a day. I'm not overthinking this. Way too many guys out for Florida State. I'm just taking Georgia here. I think they're angrier than a team that could think they're angry and have a chip on their shoulder. But no, thank you.
Yeah. Like you said, Rodemaker out. Jordan Travis obviously was out since the end of the year with an injury. Depleted, tons of transfer portal guys.
And they're not playing. It's one thing being in portal. They've already opted out. They said, we're not playing. So it's not like it's like, oh, portal pot. They said, no, we're not playing these games.
Yeah,
so.
Let me see what I can get in NIL money. I might come back.
But as far as I just looked this morning, these guys were out. They said they opt out. There's not. I mean, just because they say they opt out doesn't mean, again, it's
Tuesday. Not like.
Who knows what, they could be like, hey, look at this. It's a party. I tricked you.
And it depends on the head coach, too. Like Chip Kelly, we discussed last week. His attitude was, hey, if you're going into the transfer portal, you're not going to play in a bowl game. I don't blame him, be honest with you. You're either in or out. That's the way I look at it. And if you I
who's
get
in the
the whole
with you, Ross.
Yeah.
I know who's
exactly.
in there. These guys don't want to be there.
Yep, exactly right. So anyway, Jesse, I'm looking at maybe an under in this game. I'm leaning that way as of the moment. I haven't officially made a pick yet, but if Florida State was good on defense all year long, and they showed that down the stretch without their starting quarterback, it's what carried them to an undefeated record. But again, we got to account for a lot of people who went into the transfer portal for Florida State. Georgia, on the other hand, Jesse, they've lost some people to the transfer portal, but they're mostly depth players. And if we know anything about Georgia, they're always, since Kirby Smart arrived in town, they annually, if not the best recruiting class in the country, right up there at the top. So they're going to have great quality depth. And I think that will be the difference in this game. And I think that I just can't see how Florida State's going to put up more than 10 points in this game, honestly. Your take, Jesse?
I thought it was an interesting choice of words from Sean saying that Georgia's angrier. And I don't know if I would quite word it like that, but I think Georgia's angry in a different way. Georgia's anger is focused on standing on business, whereas Florida State's anger is like a kid kicking and screaming. They didn't get their ice cream cone. and now they want to take their ball and go home. They want to leave the ACC. Guys are opting out. They threatened to. I mean, let's face it. They threatened to boycott this bowl. They threatened to not even show up. And now you think about backing them to win this game with a quarterback that threw for 55 yards in the conference championship game. No way, no how. I did put out a play on Georgia -14 2 weeks ago. I stand by that. 16.5. I think they win by 20 plus. Like I say, Georgia focused. They're standing on Brock Bowers. That guy was advised to sit out the rest of the season, despite the fact that Georgia was looking at possibly running the table again. He comes back, plays before he's fully healthy. That kind of dedication, that kind of attitude, I think, resonates throughout the whole team and the coaching staff. And Georgia is a more serious unit at this point than a Florida State team that's fighting over something that that's already lost.
Yeah, extremely good point, Jesse. I mean, again, with Bowers, he's one of your leaders, and when one of your leaders steps up to the plate, even though he's not 100% healthy, and he's looking at multi-million-dollar payday when he gets drafted in the NFL, presumably in the first round, and you step up for your team like that, it goes a long way, and it certainly speaks volumes of the program in general. Great point there. Anyway, Jesse, while we have you, Ole Miss is going to take on Penn State in the Peach Bowl. And I know that Sean has not been high on Penn State all year, and I certainly agree with him. Ole Miss, on the other hand, another one of those teams that I don't know what you're going to get from them. We know they're talented. We know they have a very good head coach in Lane Kiffin. Penn State, as we discussed last week on the show, James Franklin's been under fire, regardless of his very good record since he's been there. He just can't win the big one and take Penn State to where the Nittany Lions fans would like to see them go. So right now, we're looking at Ole Miss in Penn State. Penn State is a 3.5-point favorite. The total is 48.5, Jesse.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to lay points with Penn State here. I do think this team is overrated. Two programs sort of heading in opposite directions. You mentioned James Franklin under fire, a lot of negativity around the Penn State program, a lot of people not happy with the way they seem to consistently fail to rise to the occasion when they play elite teams. That's not what's going on at Ole Miss. They're doing an amazing job in this recruiting cycle. They've landed a bunch of high-profile players in the transfer portal and on signing day. A lot of positivity. Kiffin is riding high right now at Ole Miss, and Kiffin doesn't have a great bowl record. I think he's 3-4 in his career in bowl games, but James Franklin's only 4-4 in his career at Penn State, so it's not like he's lighting it up either. And I'll go back to the Big Ten. I don't think the Big Ten was very good this year, and there was only a couple good teams in the Big Ten, and Penn State lost to both of them. And those teams that they beat to run up that win total and cover the spread again in a lot of those games inexplicably with fake kneels for touchdowns to cover the spread. I'm never going to forgive them for that. But I mean, the strength of schedule is concerning. I mean, they didn't really play anybody in non-conference play. Who did they play in non-conference play? They played UMass, Delaware, and They played West Virginia early, and at the time, West Virginia was picked to be a lot worse than they ended up being. So really, they played nobody. And Ole Miss, they played a Tulane team on the road that ended up winning their conference and was ranked in the top 25. They also played Georgia Tech, and of course, the schedule in the SEC is a little tougher than playing the bottom tier teams in the Big Ten. I'll take the points with a team that's, like I say, riding high with Lane Kiffin. And Jackson Dart coming back to play this bowl game, coming back for another season. Certainly the edge at quarterback. I was not impressed with Drew Aller. It seemed like Franklin didn't want to let him throw the ball down the field. It's like Franklin knew, we can't let this kid throw the ball down the field, and they really reined him in, and they paid the price for it. They couldn't beat better teams with that.
Yeah, and
quarterback.
I really don't know why. I know he's a freshman, but he, if you look at his performance line, Jesse, the kid didn't make a lot of mistakes. And I know they probably put him in a position for that to be at a minimum, but still, having said that, I mean, at some point, you want to win the Big Ten, you playing close to the vest in a year that it was it was there for them to make a run, and they didn't do it. So, in any event, Jackson Dart, very interesting because he got the starting nod early in the year. And if you recall, the guy named Spencer Sanders, who was very good for Oklahoma State, transferred over, and he lost his starting job to Jackson Dart. Many people, including myself, thought that would be Spencer Sanders' team going into the year. And lo and behold, not only did he win the job, Jackson Dart, but he kept it all year long, Sean, and kept Spencer Sanders on the bench. So
Sanders goes there. I mean, I was kind of a Jackson Dart guy. I was like, I liked him a little bit. But what, out of all, why to that? Like, you have a guy who started games here. What is he going there for?
Highly touted coming out of when he went to USC. I think Jackson Dart was at least a 4-star, if not a 5. So, listen, makes you wonder.
Didn't pay off for Sanders. I mean, well, whatever to that. I'm with Jesse here on Ole Miss. And I guess Penn State backers would be like, well, Ole Miss didn't beat Georgia or Alabama either, so how can you compare the two? But I don't know, man. James Franklin versus ranked teams.
They did beat LSU and Tulane, so they were 2-2.
Well, I'm just saying, Penn, he gets in these games versus equal kind of teams or teams that might be a little better. I can't back them. Not as a favorite too, as well. Although I saw this go up to 4 in one spot. I'm like, this is 4. It opened at 3. I give me all the points I could get on Ole Miss. I'll take Kiffin here. Let's go.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing is, Sean, is in Jesse is the total's 48.5. Now, in one sense, it didn't surprise me because a game that involves Penn State. In the other sense, I'd have to look at it, but I would go out on a limb without even looking at their whole schedule this year, that this is by far Ole Miss's lowest total of the season. Yeah. And to me, that tells me something there. So, again,
51 was the lowest.
51
against A&M.
Yeah. So, there you have it. I mean, again, I'd be looking possibly at another under here.
And he only scored 73 in that game when it was 51.5.
Yeah. So, there you go. In any event, there you have it. Jesse, he likes Ole Miss.
Ole Miss.
Plus the 3.5. And Sean is going to lay to 16.5 with Georgia over Florida State. I agree with both of those gentlemen on those picks. My game is Auburn and Maryland. Not quite the caliber of teams that we just discussed in the other 2 games, but nonetheless, 2 prideful programs. And Auburn 6-6 on the year, Maryland 7-5. Right now, Auburn is a heavy 7-point favorite here. Total 46.5. This line moved from 2 to 7. A lot has to do with the fact that Maryland's starting quarterback, Tua's brother, and I'm not going to try to pronounce that name. Sorry, folks. I don't work for ESPN. I'm a sports betting analyst. So my concern is beating the number. I can just tell you Maryland's starting quarterback is out. And he opted out actually for the to get ready for the NFL draft. Not only turnover. I'm sorry.
Taglia turnover.
Yeah, right. So yeah, you look at Maryland over the last 7 games, turned the ball over 16 times, and he had much to do with that. In any event, not only is the starting quarterback out for Maryland, there are 12 other players entered the transfer portal. There's another 11 players that are out for undisclosed reasons, which usually goes hand in hand with disciplinary action. So this is a team that's going to be very, very thin going into this game. The Terrapins started 5-0 this year, but all 5 of those teams they beat finished with losing records. And lo and behold, in their last 7 games, they went 2-5. And over those last 7 games, they were -8 turnover differential. And as Sean pointed out, and I just followed up with, they committed 16 turnovers over those last 7 games. Now, Auburn has had an up and down season. We've talked about them at times, one of those teams that makes you scratch your head. They get blown out at home against New Mexico State. They look listless in other games. They look lifeless offensively at times. But then they play number 6 Georgia. They lose by 7. They play number 4 Alabama in a game they probably deserve to win, if not for a 4th and goal touchdown with less than 3 minutes to play from the 27-yard line. They lose to number 4 Alabama by 3. The last I checked, they're in the college football playoffs. And that Ole Miss team that we just discussed, who is number 11 in the country, they played them tough as well, losing by just 7 in that contest. Again, this is similar to Maryland, a team that really didn't beat anybody of significance. Matter of fact, all 6 of Auburn's wins this year, none of those teams finished with a winning record. Auburn right now, they're pretty healthy otherwise than the 11 players in the transfer portal. They do have their starting quarterback still available, and Peyton Thorne. This line going up to 7, I think, is justified. I just feel like this is a game where we're going to get very little effort out of Maryland. And I think Auburn, with Hugh Freeze, who's a extraordinary motivator, I think that'll be the difference in this game. Auburn -7 over Maryland. Jesse?
I would tend to agree, and I would cite what I said previously about the Big Ten. I didn't think the Big Ten was very strong this year. And asking Maryland to compete against an SEC team, even if it is a more mediocre SEC team, still higher end recruits and probably better athletes across the board, especially with Maryland being shorthanded. So 7 seems like a bargain, but these days, tough to say in these bowl games.
No doubt. And it's like a game that this is not one of the bowl games I'm looking forward to watching. Anyway, Sean, your take.
Yeah, no, I got to roll with you guys. I mean, you got that many guys out. I mean, Hugh Freeze, you got 6 wins. Got to make them happy. You need that 7th win. So if they're going to win, it's not going to be a close game. I think they win. Going away. And I think we've had our fair share of hating on Auburn and kicking their backs in a little bit, but get it done here. Maryland's depleted. Finish up the season. I don't think they've won a bowl game in about 5 years, Auburn, as well. So
yeah, and the thing with Maryland too is you're in the Big Ten, and you need a brand name head coach. Nothing against Mike Locksley, but I just, to him, he's had Maryland stuck in mediocrity. This is a guy.
He gets guys too. He gets players over there.
Well, that's what I'm saying. He's stuck in mediocrity. You can get all. We've seen this before with coaches that have been very good recruiters, and then they can't, in terms of the talent that they bring aboard, they don't maximize it. They don't bring the best out in these players. They don't put them in positions to be successful. And Locksley, to me, Sean, is one of those guys. And Jesse, when he was at New Mexico, he failed miserably as a head coach there. I just don't understand that hire. He's a great recruiter, but there's a lot of great recruiters, okay? Syracuse just hired a great recruiter, and he's bringing in people. But at the end of the day, the final test is how you're able to make decisions on the field and assemble that talent and make them the best they could be. And I don't think Locksley falls in that category.
I can't argue with that, Ross. I can't argue with that.
Yeah. So in any event, okay, there you have it. I'm taking Auburn -7. Sean is taking Georgia -16 over Florida State. Jesse, Ole Miss +3.5 against Penn State. Jesse, tell the good folks that are viewing exactly why they should purchase from you over at gamblersworld.net.
Well, I'm really looking forward to college hoops starting up again. On fire with college hoops. I believe 8-2 with my last 10 overall, 9-1 with my last 10 college hoops sides plays on the leaderboards at gamblersworld.net. I believe second for the season with college hoops. Not bad, starting to heat up. Feel pretty confident with that, as well as NHL and NBA's rolling as well. And like I say, coming off of a bit of a rough Christmas with the loss on San Francisco, but still excited to get back to the gridiron with NFL and college football playoffs as well.
There you go. Jesse Schule, one of the finest handicappers you'll find anywhere in the country, folks. Yes. Jesse 4-1 the last 7 days in college basketball. He's number 3 over the last 30 days in college basketball. Number 2 on the site in college basketball. The only guy better than him right now is a guy named Ross Benjamin. So, yeah, not bad, Jesse. Yeah, you're pretty good, buddy.
I'm coming for you, Ross.
I know you are. I know you are, and I know Mr. Higgs will too, because don't count Sean out. You saw what happened in college football and the NFL. He got off to a slow start, and then he went sort of crazy. But Sean, tell the folks why they should spend their hard-earned money on Mr. Higgs.
Well, listen, if you like acting, I got you covered there. So I'm gonna fire away. We're gonna win more than we lose. That's what I'm gonna say. I can't say I don't lose some games. Had a losing NFL weekend. Wrapped up with the Niner game. A little frustrated with that, but I don't win them all. I'll tell you that. What's there to say? I'm college basketball. I'm kind of spinning my wheels still, up, down, but that'll change. Again, for me, it's one day at a time. Other hockey, I'm winning. I put out some hockey. NBA the same. I think I'm 14-8. So all around, we're doing all right. New Year's right around the corner. Excited for some college hoops, some baskets to start falling in there and get me those half-point winners that I'm missing out on right now.
Yeah. And that happens. And, the bottom line is if you lose a few like that, you'll start winning a couple in class.
I'll tell you, I have 32 losers in that spot and only 11 winners. So
you sound like Doug Upstone now when he breaks out. They got to balance out.
The thing is, Russ, you guys will test this. Winners you don't remember because they're supposed to win. That's why we have it, right? As far as I'm concerned, it's a winner. Yeah. When it loses, you're like, how did I lose this game? Those are the ones. So then you got to go back and look like, all right, I got so many of these. How many have I caught? And when you see they're not matching up, you're like, all right, this isn't good.
Well, it'll be a matter of time. In my estimation, me and Paul Bovey talked about this last week. In my estimation, those even out over the course of time.
They will. That's why I'm they'll get there. That's why
Sean, when you're red hot, those types of games fall your way.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And when you're struggling, every conceivable bad break seems to go against you in those games. You go down to the wire and fall around the number.
That's when we just say it's fixed, right? It's rigged. It's fixed against me.
Yeah.
I know I've been on the right side of a whole bunch of half-point winners in college basketball lately. So
right.
That's the way it is. That's how
but they go against you at times, so you need them. You need them to go for you as well.
I always say, Jesse, those games even out over the long haul, and I mean long haul. It's the games you win decisively against the spread, against the games you lose decisively against the spread, that separates you from the rest. You want to, if you're winning a lot more games decisively against the spread versus the opposite of there, you're doing awfully well. And
Ross, I'm not sure if you're aware, but there's a raging debate on Twitter and in the forums and Reddits about closing line value and whether it's important or not. And I think when you start to win and lose games by a half a point repeatedly, it really illuminates the fact that obviously closing line value is important, and you're going to be on the right side more times if you're getting good closing line value every time, right?
Yeah. And again, unfortunately in our industry, in the capacity, in the roles that we play, we can't wait to the last second to put picks in for the general public. It just doesn't work that way, Now, as far as our own personal bets, that's another story. But people have to realize that when they get in that argument, we don't fall under the category of just a normal sports bettor discussing whether it's a good idea to wait to the last minute. Now, you guys get down early on a lot of games, and you're usually ahead of the point spread move to your favor. But again, that argument takes on a whole different meaning when you do this for a living as a sports handicapper that post picks for people to buy and people to subscribe to. We can't wait to the last minute. Anyway, Sean, getting back to you, your NFL, you're number one over the last 90 days with a 77-56 record. You're number 3 overall on the site in the NFL. And so number 2 over the number 1, in college football for the season, and number 2 over the last 90 days. So like I said, Sean started out slow in college football and the NFL. He mentioned that he's spinning his wheels in college basketball. He's a volume player, and when he catches fire, you win a lot of money, folks. You just have to have proper money management. Myself, again, I continue to roll. Been a little bit of a back and forth lately. I had a 4-0 on Friday, an 0-3 on Saturday, a 3-1 on Sunday, and I went 1-1 yesterday. But overall, I can't complain, guys. It's been a pretty good season. Number 1 on the site overall since the site's inception in mid-July, and quite frankly, with no disrespect intended toward anybody else, nobody's a close second right now. So my point being is I've been pretty consistent in that regard, and you could find me over at gamblersworld.net, where I guarantee all my selections, just like everybody else on the site. If you don't win, you don't make a profit, you are going to get your account credited back the exact amount of your purchase price. Again, gamblersworld.net is where you can find us all, folks. It's where you spend a little to make a lot. If you have not subscribed to the YouTube channel, our YouTube channel, I should be specific, take a second to do so. You'll see a black subscribe button underneath the video box. If you're watching on your smart TV or your mobile device, you'll see a WC logo in the bottom right-hand corner. If you're watching on your PC, by clicking those boxes, you'll be subscribed, and it's absolutely free to do so. And then we ask you to take one step further, folks, for your own convenience, and it would serve you well, is instead of coming back and forth to see if we published our podcast for the day yet, you go into your YouTube settings and click on the alert notification bell for the Winner's Circle Sports Betting Podcast. You'll be notified immediately upon any of our podcasts, which is 6 times a week going up on a channel. Don't forget, us 3 every Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern time with our live show. Look forward to that. Put that in your calendar. These 3 gentlemen will be back with me tomorrow morning, and we'll be discussing more sports betting action tomorrow. Until the next time. I almost forgot. There's a like button, Jesse.
Smash that like button.
Smash that like button, folks. And if you just want to touch it, that's fine too. Just it's a small token of your appreciation for the time, work, and effort we put in to giving you a quality podcast on this channel, and to make you a smarter sports bettor today than you were yesterday. For Jesse Schule, Sean Higgs, and Ross Benjamin, we'll see you tomorrow morning. I'll be back later this afternoon with Paul Bovey. We'll be discussing the 2 college football playoff games coming up next Monday. So until then, take care and God bless, folks.